Hi there, Eric here at MillionMind. Today I'm going to go through the flow of Easy Quiz Player from start to finish. So let's get started. Usually the first thing that you do when you've created your account is to create your first quiz. To do that, simply click the new quiz button at the top. Once here you have a few fields that you need to fill in. Firstly, your quiz name, your quiz image if you want to switch that from the default one. Select your design and set a start and end date if you wish. Once you're done with that, you can click next. I won't do this because I've already made a quiz that we can look at. So let's look at it. Now, this is the quiz overview page. Here you can see all your questions and you can see a small statistics bar in the top right. To add questions, simply click the add question button. But I've already added 4 different questions, so let's look at those instead. To begin with, we have a text question. It's basically a text question and it can have between 2 or 3 text alternatives, and it can have an image attached to it. And one of these alternatives are correct, of course. Secondly, we have the image question. It's similar to the text question, but instead of text alternatives, it has image alternatives, and one of them is correct. Thirdly, we have a scale question. A scale question can be used in a multitude of ways, involving anything with a scale. In this case, it's a math question. It has a start and end number. And lastly, we have a sorting question. In this example, it's a population question, and you basically sort the alternatives. And that was all of the questions. If you want more information about these questions, look in the description of the video and you can look more into details on specific questions. Now that we're done with all the questions, it's time to look at the quiz settings. Most of the things you already did in the first step when you created your quiz, but there's still some settings that you can select. For example, you have display title and quiz image. This is always set to active by default. This basically displays the title and the quiz image. Secondly, you have an ability to add a banner to the quiz that shows on the result page. You can also put a URL on it. If we head to the tab called Game, here are a few different settings. Here you can, for example, select questions per game. In this case, it's 4, seeing as it's 4 questions. And you can select the question order. In this case, it's sequential, but you can always have it on random if you wish. In the right tab, you have maximum gameplay. Let's put an example here. If I would write in 3 in this tab, and the second one I would pick per day, a user playing your quiz would only be able to play it maximum 3 times per day, no more or no less, until the next day. But in our case, we'll just have it in 0 and total. Having it in 0 and total means that a player can play an infinite amount of times. Lastly, here we have show correct answers. This basically means, do you want to show what the correct answer is to the users who are playing your quiz? You can either show it, don't show it, or don't show anything at all if the answer is correct or wrong. The third tab, login form, is what the user fills in at the end of the play time, basically. This can be anything you wish. It can be first name, email, phone number, address, or anything you would like to have here. Now, once you're done with all the quiz settings and the questions, it's time to actually publish your quiz. To do this, simply click the publish/shortcode button and fill in your settings. You can select the size of the quiz, you can select the interface language of the quiz, and you can select the design of the quiz. Once you're done with all of these, simply click refresh and copy the code. If you want to publish the quiz on an external page outside WordPress, you need to buy an external embed code. Now let's look at the quiz and play through it and see how it is. And here's the quiz preview. Let's start it up and see how it is. From the beginning, the first question obviously loads in. And in this case, it's a sorting question. You basically sort what you think is the correct answer. Secondly, you have the text question. It's basically what I said before. You have a question and 3 text alternatives. Thirdly, you have the image question, which one is correct. And last, you have the scale question. What is 5 divided by 5? And in this case, it's 1. After the players played through each question, they get a feedback instantly on what their total points are and how they've answered all these questions. As you can see in this particular instance, I answered 3 questions correct and 1 I failed on. And you can see that here, the second question I failed on, and in total I got 1,925 points. Let's go to the results screen. Once here, you have to register to be able to see the scoreboard and see what position you are in. So I'll just register with something here. And I press send. And I can see here in the scoreboard that I am on position 1 with 1,925 points. And my second playthrough, I got 1,514 points on. So basically I'm leading over myself. Now on the left here you have some few different buttons. You have challenge friends button. Here you can send a challenge to either on Facebook or Twitter and get points for it. Below you have post score. This allows you to post a score on Facebook, sharing to your friends that you played a quiz. And the third button is that you can play the quiz again. Now that we're done with all of this, the last step that you should do is look through the statistics. You of course always have the small little statistics overview in the top right, but you can see more statistics. Simply click this button here. Here you have a few graphs and settings. Basically you can see the amount of games you have, unique players, you can see how many people have seen your quiz, total games, games ended, registered players, challenges, and all of this, for example. But this is for you to discover, of course. If you scroll to the top, you have 2 different buttons. You have question statistics and you have high score. Let's look at question statistics. So basically here you see what all the players have answered in your quiz. You can see in the text question, in what city is MillionMind based, 2 people answered Stockholm, 1 person answered Gothenburg. And you can of course see the same statistic on all the other questions. And if we look at high score, we can see all the players who have registered in your quiz. You can see in this particular quiz 9 people registered. You can of course always see detail into what the players answered on all the different questions. For example, here you can see that I answered Carl Gustav on this particular question. I got correct on that. And you can also of course remove individual answers, and of course you can always clean the high score totally. But you can always also export all of these players into a Excel file if you wish to investigate them further. And that's it, easy quiz player from start to finish. I hope you enjoyed watching and good luck with your quiz creation.